Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Zeno's Wisdom. What if everything you've been told about attraction was only scratching the surface? What if I told you that while most men are out there trying to impress, trying to convince, trying to be enough, there are a select few men quiet, grounded completely at ease who don't need to chase because they say two simple words that stay with her long after the moment ends. Two words that seem ordinary on the surface, but when said with the right energy, they echo in her chest like a whisper that won't go away. She might not even know why she'll go on with her day, talking to friends, replying to emails, checking off to-do list, but somewhere in the background of her mind, you're there. Not for what you wore, not for what you gave her, but for what you awakened in her. See, most men talk to a woman's ears, but these two words, they speak to her soul. This isn't about game. This isn't about seduction. This is about resonance. Because when you learn how to speak, not just to what she hears, but to what she feels, you step out of the friend zone. You step out of the crowd. You step into her thoughts where only a few men ever live. Rentrée. But here's the paradox. The more you try to be memorable, the less you are. True presence doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It just is, and that's what she's craving. She doesn't want a man who performs for her attention. She wants a man whose stillness makes her feel safe, whose words carry weight, not fluff, who isn't just passing time but planting moments. And in this video right now, I'm going to reveal the two words that do exactly that. But before we dive into the words themselves, you need to understand why they work. You need to feel the difference between a man who talks and a man who communicates on a frequency. She can't ignore because words are not just words. They're portals. They either lead her to the same tired place or they open up a space inside her that feels alive again. Here at Stoic Paradox, we explore the quiet power of masculine presence. This channel isn't for the loud. It's not for the chasers. It's for the men who are done performing, done pretending, and ready to show up with such realness, such depth, such grounded energy that a woman doesn't even understand why she's drawn in. She just knows. She feels something. So if you're ready to learn the two words that don't just make her think, but make her feel, and if you're ready to become the kind of man who doesn't have to fight for attention because your very presence leaves a mark, she can't forget, then stay with me. Because what you're about to learn isn't just about attraction. It's about awakening the powerful, rare, and unforgettable version of yourself that every woman secretly hopes to meet, but almost never does. Let's begin. Word number one I remember. In the world of attraction, most men are out there trying to perform. They're chasing attention, attempting to impress, and hoping that their efforts will be enough. But here's the paradox. The more you try to be memorable, the less you are. True presence doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It just is. And this is where the power of two simple words comes in. I remember on the surface, these words seem ordinary, nothing flashy, nothing extravagant. But when said with the right energy, with real presence, they carry weight. They go beyond the superficial. They resonate deep within her. Think about it in a world full of noise, the noise of compliments, of flashy gestures, of constant attempts to impress. I remember stands out because it's not about trying to be something you're not. It's about being present with her, being fully attuned to her, not performing for her attention, but simply speaking to her soul. When you say, I remember, it's not just a casual reflection of the past. It's an invitation to step back into a moment that you shared. You're telling her, that in the midst of everything that's happened, since that specific memory, that moment still holds value, that she in some way left an imprint on you. And here's where the magic happens. You see, most men talk to a woman's ears, they focus on what she hears, they try to impress with grand gestures or clever lines. But when you say, I remember, you're speaking to something deeper. You're speaking to her heart, to the part of her that holds on to memories, that feels those little moments. The ones that may seem small to everyone else, but mean everything to her. What happens next is subtle but incredibly powerful. She'll go about her day checking off her to-do list, talking to her friends, dealing with the usual daily noise. But in the background of her mind, you're there not because of what you wore or what you gave her, or what flashy thing you did, but because of what you awakened in her. I remember doesn't demand anything. It doesn't perform. It simply is. And in that stillness, in that quiet power, why you become unforgettable, not because you tried to be, but because you were just present enough to make her feel something that lasts. Because here's the thing, women don't want a man who needs to constantly chase for attention. They don't want someone who is always performing, always looking for validation. They want someone who's grounded, who doesn't need to be loud to be heard, someone whose words carry depth, and that is exactly what I remember. It's not about games, it's not about seduction. It's about creating resonance, that quiet, undeniable presence that lingers long after the moment ends. You don't need to impress her with your looks or with extravagant gestures. All you need to do is speak to what's real in her. And in that moment when you say, I remember, you're not just recalling a past moment. You're planting something deeper, something that stays with her. You're making her feel seen, not for what she looks like or what she's done for you, but for the way she made you feel. It's a rare thing, and in a world of noise and performance, it's a gift. Word number 2. You're right. There's a unique power in those two simple words, you're right. At first glance, it might seem like just a casual phrase, a quick acknowledgement. But when said in the right context with the right energy, your right becomes something far more profound. It's not about conceding or giving in. It's about affirming her. It's about creating an emotional connection, one where she feels heard, validated, and understood in a way that few men are ever able to achieve. Let me explain why this is so powerful. In a world where so many men are fighting for validation, trying to be heard, or constantly trying to prove their point, your right is a subtle yet powerful shift. It shows her that you're not just interested in being right for the sake of it. You're not looking to dominate the conversation or prove superiority. You're showing her that her perspective matters, that her voice, her thoughts, her feelings, they have weight in your world. Think about it. How often do we go through life feeling like we have to constantly fight to be heard? We all want to feel like we're seen, like we matter. And often the most important thing we seek in others, especially in the people we care about, is validation. The feeling that we're right, that we're being listened to. So when you say you're right, you're doing more than just agreeing. You're giving her something rare respect. You're acknowledging her opinion, not as something to be argued with, but as something to be appreciated. You're showing her that her thoughts carry value, that her voice doesn't just matter to you, it means something to you. And here's where it gets even more powerful. It's not just about agreeing with her. It's about the way you do it. It's about the energy you bring when you say it. There's an art to this. It's not about saying you're right just to smooth things over or avoid conflict. It's about genuinely engaging with what she's saying and making her feel safe and expressing herself in a relationship. This creates a deeper sense of trust. Trust is built on shared understanding, on mutual respect. And when you say you're right, you're creating an emotional space where that trust can flourish. You're signaling that you're not just hearing her, you're listening. You're fully present in the conversation in the moment. And that's a rare gift in today's world of distractions. Now, let's be clear, this isn't about losing your own voice. It's not about always agreeing with her just for the sake of keeping the peace. This isn't about being a doormat. Number, when you say you're right, you're showing that you can engage in the discussion, that you can have your own thoughts and opinions. And yet, when it matters, you're able to step back and acknowledge the validity of hers. That kind of dynamic creates balance, a harmonious exchange that isn't built on winning or losing, but on understanding and growing together. Think about how it feels when someone validates you in a conversation. How often do we leave a discussion feeling like we've been heard, truly heard, without being interrupted or corrected? That feeling is what you're giving her. When you say you're right, it's a feeling that stays with her long after the conversation ends. It's the type of energy that creates emotional security where she feels safe and valued. And that sense of security is incredibly powerful in attraction. Because let's face it, a woman doesn't just want to feel heard. She wants to feel understood. She wants to feel like her thoughts, her opinions, and her feelings are being met with genuine respect. And when you give her that, it transcends the surface level interactions. It digs deeper. It's a foundation for something lasting. In this world where everyone is trying to be louder, trying to get their point across at all costs, your right is a quiet yet powerful declaration that doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to compete. It just is. And it's in that stillness, in that calm, confident acknowledgement that you separate yourself from the crowd. You step into a realm of presence and emotional resonance that draws her in like few men ever do. The magic of your right lies in its simplicity. It's not a trick. It's not a tactic. It's an invitation to step into a space where real connection happens, where for a moment the world quiets down and it's just the two of you in mutual respect and understanding. And in doing so, you create a bond, not just a fleeting interaction, but something that builds over time. A space where both of you can be real, a space where both of you can show up without fear, without the need to prove anything. And when you can do that, you become unforgettable. Not because of what you said, but because of how you made her feel. When we talk about emotional resonance, there's something even more powerful at play. Something I like to call emotional echoes. These are the lasting impressions you leave on someone, not just in the moment, but long after the moment has passed. It's the feeling that lingers, the memory that plays on repeat in her mind when she least expects it. It's the subtle, almost imperceptible effect you have on her. The kind of impact that stays with her like the echo of a song that fades but never quite disappears. Here's the thing most men don't realize. It's not the grand gestures, the flashy words, or the endless chase for attention that truly leave a mark. No, what really creates an unforgettable presence is the way you make her feel in those quiet moments, in the spaces where nothing is being said and yet everything is understood. Those are the moments where emotional echoes are born. Imagine this. You've had a conversation with her, a simple exchange, Maybe it was about something small, something that didn't seem significant at the time. You spoke a few words that resonated, words that felt real, that carried weight. Maybe it was when you told her, I remember, or when you said, you're right. And those two words, as simple as they were, created something deeper. You didn't perform, you didn't try to impress her. You just spoke with presence, with intention, with an energy that didn't need to force anything. And as you walked away, you thought that moment was over. But what you didn't realize is that in that moment, something shifted. You left behind an emotional echo, something that now lives inside her. Now, here's where it gets interesting. She might not consciously realize why she's thinking about you. She'll go through her day distracted by the usual routine, but then all of a sudden you'll pop into her mind. Not because you did something extravagant or because you performed in some way, but because of the emotional space you created, the feeling you sparked. Think of it like this. You've spoken a note into the air. It's subtle, quiet, but it reverberates. It lingers. And while she might go about her day, that note will continue to echo in the background of her mind. It's in the way she'll find herself smiling for no reason, or how she'll think back to a little detail you shared with her that she hadn't even noticed before. It's not about a huge gesture that demands attention. It's the quiet, unspoken impact you leave behind. But emotional echoes aren't just about leaving a lasting impression in the moment. They're about the lasting effect you have on her. One that extends far beyond the words you say or the time you spent together. It's the quiet certainty that no matter how much time passes, there's something about you that remains in her heart, something that can't be easily shaken off, something that persists in the background, softly tugging at her thoughts. And here's the key to understanding how emotional echoes work. They're built on authenticity. They're built on your ability to be present, to be real, to show up without the need for external validation. It's when you stop trying to make an impression and instead just focus on creating a space where true connection can happen. This is how emotional echoes are created, because here's the secret. Emotional echoes don't come from trying to make her remember you. They come from being someone worth remembering when you show up with presence, when you're not performing, but simply existing in your truest, most grounded form. You leave a part of yourself in every interaction, not in a superficial way, but in a way that resonates on a deeper level. Imagine that she's walking through her day and for some reason she can't shake the thought of you. It's not because of your charm or the way you looked or the way you try to impress her. It's because in the quiet moments of her life, she felt something. She felt seen. She felt understood. And that's something that lasts far longer than any flashy gesture could ever hope to achieve. Emotional echoes work because they're not forced. They come from genuine connection. They're the product of your ability to create real, deep, unspoken bonds. Ones that aren't fleeting but that resonate for a long time. So the next time you're in a conversation with her, think about this. It's not about what you say or what you do in that exact moment. It's about the emotional space you create, the feeling you leave behind. It's about planting a seed in her heart that will continue to grow long after the moment has passed. Because true attraction, true connection, it doesn't come from the things you do for her in a single moment. It comes from how you make her feel long after that moment is over. It's those emotional echoes that will stay with her, replaying in her mind, making her think about you in ways she might not even fully understand. And when you can do that, When you can leave behind an emotional echo that lasts far beyond the conversation, far beyond the fleeting moments of attraction, that's when you know you've truly mastered the art of presence. That's when you know you've become unforgettable. Now that you've uncovered the power of these two simple words, I remember, and you're right, it's time to put them into action. But remember, it's not about memorizing lines or trying to impress. It's about embodying these principles in your everyday interactions. These words are just the beginning. The real magic happens when you start showing up with presence, when you allow your energy to speak for itself. So here's your challenge. I want you to take a moment today and really be present. Don't just go through the motions. Slow down. Look her in the eye. Listen, not just to respond, but to understand. And then when the moment feels right, use these words. Speak them from a place of groundedness, from a place of real connection. Don't worry about what she'll think. Worry only about how she feels in that moment, and trust me, that's where the magic begins. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to dive deeper into mastering the art of connection, presence, and resonance, make sure to subscribe to Stoic Paradox. This channel is your guide to the quiet, powerful masculinity that draws women in. Not because you're trying to impress, but because you are simply being your true self. Here, we don't chase attention. We cultivate presence. We don't perform for validation. We develop our own grounded energy that attracts the right people into our lives. People who see us for who we really are. So if you're ready to awaken that version of yourself, the one who doesn't need to fight for attention, the one who naturally draws others in, you've found the right place. And remember, this isn't about seduction, it's about resonance. It's about connecting with women on a deeper level, one that goes beyond superficiality and into the heart. If this video resonated with you, leave a comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. Share your experiences, your breakthroughs, and how these two words might change the way you communicate. What moment in your life could have been transformed with just a few simple words spoken with intention? Let's start a conversation. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss out on the content that's designed to help you become the grounded, powerful man who doesn't just get noticed, but who makes a real, lasting impact. This journey toward becoming unforgettable starts here right now. So if you're ready to leave a mark that won't fade to awaken the rare version of yourself that women secretly hope to meet, hit that subscribe button and let's continue this journey together. And that's it for today's video. Thank you for staying with me. I hope you're leaving this conversation with a deeper understanding of how true connection works. Not through performance, but through presence. Not through trying to impress, but through simply being. The world is full of noise. It's full of people shouting for attention, trying to be noticed, trying to prove their worth. But the man who learns to speak to a woman's soul, who learns to be present, who doesn't chase validation, but instead cultivates his own grounded energy, that man leaves an unforgettable impression. That man doesn't need to fight for attention. He attracts it effortlessly. So as you move forward, keep this in mind. It's not about the flashy gestures, the clever lines, or the game. It's about being real. It's about connecting with her on a level that goes beyond what you do and into what you are. And when you do that, when you truly show up in your most grounded, authentic form, you won't just make her think about you. You'll make her feel something that lingers long after you're gone. This isn't just about attraction. This is about creating real, lasting bonds that don't fade with time. This is about mastering the art of resin